Hello, I'm Anthony, back on track with Riversong today. And as you can see, we've got a structure of a song now. We're about 3.5 minutes long. And I've taken the original concept that I came out with last time, which was the E minor add 9 to C major 7 chord progression, blown it out. I always knew it was going to modulate between those two chords for the entire length of the piece. And I'm now starting to get an idea of how that actually needs to live in the real world. So I'm going to play the entire thing. As I'm going, I'll fiddle around with the levels. It's very much a work in progress at the moment. I've not figured out where anything's supposed to be living. I have no idea how to end the thing, so you'll hear it kind of fall off a cliff. Tons of stuff to talk about, but for now, I'm just going to get it going and we'll work this stuff out as we go. Best I've got to come up with as far as the end's concerned at the moment. That little growly thing. It's got potential, but it doesn't work yet. So as you can hear, really evolving. I want it to be really gentle. In terms of the vocals, I'm thinking just harmonies. I might have what I call oohs and ahs, basically the backing vocal kind of sounds without any lyrics. I'm not absolutely settled on that. I'm also tempted to have another go for the first time in about a year of putting some backing tracks, backing vocals down myself. Usually I leave it to Pauline, but I'm doing a little bit of vocal practice at the moment, desperately awful though I am. If I can get to the stage where I can actually hold a pitched tone, then I would like to contribute to the backing vocals. So I want something, I don't know how that's going to fit. Really happy with the bass line because it's just the number of songs that I've written in the past year or so where I've said, happy with the bass line, it stays out of the way, very subtle, very understated, and maybe that's just me. The whole active, Funkmeister thing, I used to love doing that sort of stuff 20 years ago, but I actually find just doesn't have any place in the music that I write anymore. So this was a live line that I threw down a few days ago, and it was just basically a 15-minute sit back and groove out, and you can see there are lots of individual sections where that was the thing that happened at that moment in time. So they're all very understated. I think we've got some slides somewhere, yeah, but very little, even, that kind of stuff. But actually in the context of the song it works well. So very happy with the bass line, unlikely to go back to that. I think that's probably a shoo-in now. Re-recorded all of the guitar parts so that they were actually in time, because everything that I'd done up until this point had been working on this kind of template concept of throwing stuff down and just coming up with ideas. And of course, they're all slightly out of time. And so, everything starts getting worse and worse as you go. So I basically started with the drum line, which, as you can see, hasn't changed since the original concept, and still haven't thought of a single reason to touch it. It's just a repeating pattern and works perfectly well. So I might want to do a little bit more articulation at some point, I'm not sure. But the guitar lines themselves on top of the really simple structure. So let's just hear the bass, guitar and drums just on their own, and they work so well together. That bringing in other stuff over the top of it proves to be very easy because it's just this very accommodating pattern. In terms of the structure of the song itself, this is the perennial debate. Do you develop vertically or horizontally? Every time I try to develop a song vertically, in other words, work on the verse, get all the guitars and the keyboards and the bass line and everything figured, and then move on to the next section, it just absolutely implodes, because you end up with this waterfall moment where you've got this cacophony of sound, this massive, almost fully developed thing falls into total silence because you haven't written the chorus or the bridge or whatever. And so I thought it was very important, before I fell into that trap again with this thing, to basically blow it out horizontally, get the 3.5-4 minutes worth of song down. So right, well, there's my structure, that's how long I want the rhythm to run, let's just create 4 minutes worth of rhythm and then figure out what I'm going to do over the top of it. And so you can see that I came up with 2 separate melodies. They were out of the improvised jams that I would just basically sit down and noodle for 20 minutes. Came out with 2 melodies that I really liked. And the second one, it just so happened that I did two takes that I liked them both, and so doubled it up and created a stereo pair. So this is the same thing, just played hard panned. Not really fussed about all of that noise in the background. I might do some processing to try and take it away, but I don't want to lose the dynamic quality, the upper frequencies that very often get lost if you do too much noise processing. But I'll send it through RX and see, the isotope RX, and see if I can get rid of some of it without damaging the integrity of the sound. But it definitely sounds better as a pair than it does mono. Let's get it running and do a comparison. So this is stereo. Now I'll take one of them out and then make it mono. You get that indefinable kind of chorusy loveliness of two more or less identically played parts just panned. So I think that adds enough richness. Sadly, there was only one take of the original melody that I liked sufficiently to actually pass the test. And I considered, you can see it's actually made up of two parts. I considered repeating the parts and having that as a stereo pair as well. But frankly, because the keyboard stuff comes in second time round, it's okay. I don't feel like I'm missing it, and so I don't feel like I need to make that comparison. You also saw as I was playing the song, eventually I muted all of this strumming stuff. I've just not been able to find a place for it. Basically got 4 different takes. I'll play all 4 of them together. It's a bit of a mush. So they're slightly different. It's one of those things that I like this. I like the part. I think it works really well played over any individual thing. So over the backing of the bass and the drums, for instance, it sounds really good. The problem is in the context of the rest of the song, it was just too busy. I just don't think it needs to be there. So I've not found a place for it to live, and it might not survive the cut. As far as the synth lines are concerned, very understated, particularly this pop one. Doing a tutorial series on the SEM at the moment, so I'm just absolutely loving it, and I wanted to make it a part of this song, and it's just doing a great job. You can see that I've got a 4-octave bounce on this, so we're getting all of those kind of little high plinks as well. I could do all sorts of, playing with the frequency knob on this one. I've not decided how active these parts are going to be yet. Similarly with the ARP, this does need, frequency sweeps. Right at the end of the song, I've still not figured out how I'm going to finish it, so this is my best effort so far, which is just the 3 keyboards. Part of the reason why I'm undecided as to what to do with this yet is because I want to bookmark. This is going to be an album. I've talked about the fact that this is the first song or the first piece of music on what will ultimately be an album called The River, and I want to bookmark the album. So somehow this will be a reprise. So whatever happens at the end of this song, I want to be able to effectively cut straight to the last piece of music on the album, and if you splice those two things together, it actually makes a continuous piece of music, and I just don't know how to do that. Whether or not it should be absolutely seamless, I don't think so, because you'll just get the hard chop, which can also be effective. There's probably the most famous one is Her Majesty off the Beatles' Abbey Road album, because it wasn't originally intended to be the last song on the album. It was somewhere in the middle of side 2, and I can't remember which song. Is it Polythene Palm that segues into it? And if you put those two songs together, you actually hear the chord at the end of Polythene Palm immediately go to the beginning of Her Majesty, and when you separate them and put it right at the end of the album, the song starts off with this bang kind of weird chord. It's the end of another song. It shouldn't be there. And there's a great anecdote about why that happened. I won't go into it today. So I might actually splice these two things completely hard together and then cut them and bookmark them. But I might also have the delayed kind of fade out thing. And have it bounce off. And I might try to figure out some way of doing a reverse of that to have it come back in, fade back in, and then I can get back up and running with the second half of the song. And one of the reasons why that's proving so much of a problem is because I've got no idea what that final song is going to be. So maybe I actually need to write the last song of the album so that I can stick these two things together. Why has that never occurred to me before? It's because I'm an idiot. Anyway, having great fun kind of trying to figure out how to write a piece of music in a bigger context. I've never had that concern before, and so all sorts of stuff's kind of rattling around in my head as to, how to do it without being pretentious. That's the most important thing. Anyway, that'll do us for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, hit the like button. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks a lot.